A huge part of my life has been movies, cinema, actors acting, and things of the like. And I've been watching a lot of movies recently. Rewatching a lot of movies recently too. So I thought I'd make a couple many videos off of the thought processes I have in my head about movies, and maybe I'll look back on this in the future when I actually try to do something with the knowledge I have for cameras and cinema and all this other stuff, and be like, huh, I really did think that, this is why I did this and that one thing that I did, blah, 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 blah. And for the first episode today, I want to talk about, because I recently watched it, is How to Train Your Dragon. And I really want to talk about a specific scene out of this maybe 50 episode spanning series. And that scene is, keep in mind, I can't edit anything now because the Wi-Fi I'm using, it sucks. So I can't edit videos because it takes forever to import everything and to grab photos, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. Which, by the way, this episode is going to be, well, maybe the first few episodes are going to be longer than most for this reason. So no cuts, no none of that. I'm just going to try and get it as possible. We need to speed it up because, like I said, Wi-Fi issues, so this video can't be too long. Anyways, beginning of the scene when Hiccup is over here. Well, I don't use that language much, do I? Over here. Weird. Anyways, when Hiccup is explaining everyone in Berg, and it gets to the scene of the twins, Rough Nut, Tough Nut, Not Loud, and everyone in the group, and he starts describing them, and there's this big fat explosion with all the characters running around. I mean, running out with their water, and they're saving people, and it's boom, and it looks so cool. And the thing that I like about that scene is that it's very realistic. Because keep in mind, my extensive and my sister's extensive knowledge of How to Train Your Dragon. When we first saw this scene, when you first saw this scene, before you saw Riders of Berk, before you saw the second movies, before you saw everything else, you didn't know Snotloud was just a big fat nerd that loved dragons and was just a soft and kind guy. You didn't know Snotloud was a butt. You didn't know the twins or the twins were stupid and very silly. You didn't know that. So our first impression of them is that they're just boom. They're all cool. They're like the best other teenagers in the village, and that's the point, because even in the camera angle, the way that it's shown, we're just getting this full POV from Hiccup's perspective and from ours, because when you grow up in school or when you go to these groups, you'll probably see these like group of kids or these group of other people, and you'll go, wow, they look so cool on the outside. I'm nothing like these people. They're so great, right? And they have this big old thing in the background, right? And even Astrid, who stays relatively the same, still cool, still good with a knife, still all of that stuff, she still has this layer that we didn't know about, that we thought she was just tough and just a fighter, but now and then later on she's nice, she becomes a good wife, she gets softer, and it's Hiccup that relieves that layer. It's through Hiccup that we see the different versions, the real versions of him. Them, not this Mission Impossible cool explosion things that scene that we first see them through. We actually see these characters, and I feel like that's just a really cool scene, and it's really powerful because the most important thing is they didn't have to say anything. They didn't have to say, well, sure, Hiccup, although Hiccup was narrating and actively speaking, we get this other piece of information without any active dialogue at all. We piece it together ourselves. We go through the movie and we see all the jokes that they make through uh, Rough Nut, Tough Love, It's Not Love. We see Fish Legs start naming dragon classes, strike class, defensive class, and he uses that to help defeat the big lizard. We learn all this stuff, and Hiccup doesn't have to say a word about that stuff. He'll explain, and even in the beginning of the movie, he's explaining his dad is powerful. It just gets a lot more done too, because because before that, he says, oh, my dad, he's like the biggest guy on the land. And he'll say that stuff, but then it'll get to that, and then he doesn't need to say anything at all. And I think that's just beautiful. And it's a really good scene, and I have a lot of more scenes to talk about that, but we're just gonna leave it here now. Thank you for watching. Oh, that didn't end it.